step into the game. We're talking wood and grain. Charles bring the heat on Southern Yellow Pine. Mascot U.S. species, all is on the line. Gregg with the spruce, keeping knowledge defined. Ashen moderates, drop the facts in the booth. We on the buy, the sell ain't no hidden truths. Economics and trends, we got it all so clear. Lumber Word Podcast, best believe we're here. If you want to make more, get in on the score. Join us every week, you'll be hungry for more. Love a been keen, though, whoop made known. Such rain Charleston, slide, plum ram known. Open to the scene, with the lumber supreme. Charles laying down facts with that southern yellow bling. Mac got that U.S. swagger like strong timber beams. Gregg's insights on spruce, rewrite the themes. Got the buy side talk, we stacking that flow. Selling knowledge, every week we still a show. Join the Lumber Word crew, let your business grow. For the sharpest minds, is what a place to go.
All right, there we go. Welcome to this week's episode of the Lumber Word. Damn, do we over prepare for this one, guys? Episode 161, I think this is. So much to talk about. Matt.
You know, like Charles is over prepared every week.
No, hell, I'm over prepared because I only get to speak 3 sentences. Yeah, I mean, I would agree.
We'll give you 4 today for sure.
Oh man, you're raising
Charles,
my
you want to
allotment.
share it with
Thank
us?
you.
What you know?
Matt, you were asking before we started if we were busy. And I went home yesterday frustrated because I felt like I came in yesterday morning at like early. It's like 6-ish and laid out all my stuff. And I was going to sell this, and this. And I didn't sell hardly anything yesterday. So this morning I came in and all the hard work that I had prepared yesterday, all of a sudden orders started piling in.
Yeah.
And I'm like, F it. I'm just going to sell more of this. And Gregg said, thumbs up. And we just so we're busy in the arena that we trade in. And I'm noticing it what we talked about on the podcast last week. If people had to step in and start building some extra inventory or start dealing with it just in time. And I think I can tell you from where I'm sitting at in the last 2 days, trading days, that started to happen. And people have started to pile in. I can say on the spruce side, up in the Northeast and the area we trade in all the way down to Florida. And still people calling saying, hey, do you have those from yesterday? Yeah. And, that was part of the thing this morning. And maybe I'm getting angry as an older guy where I just said, hey, I sent you those at 6:30 in the morning because they were great deals. And you didn't buy them. And I go, they were gone at like 7:30. And there's a lot of that, a lot of volume, a lot of trucks that are going to carload guys. And, and people are starting to pay more freight. So that's what I'm living. What about you, Matt? What do you
I feel like it's a broken record for me because I've been busy. The item, I specialize in utility number 3, and that's really hard to buy. And so it's kind of nichey. And then a lot of this business is in one part of the country that seems to also be busier than other parts. So I'm busy and have been for quite a while. And then, it's kind of a broken record. So I'm busier than the average guy sitting around me. We're selling lumber every day. And I would say that if I had to rank kind of the different commodities that we trade that are from good to worst, I would say that studs are the top, low grade and studs are at the top of that list in terms of liquidity and volume. And then dimension lumber is somewhere in the middle. And there's really nothing that's bad right now. I mean, we're in the wrong time of year for that to be the case. But I'm definitely busier on the low grade stuff than the guys that are selling like 2 and better spruce or hemp fir or Doug fir are. And, we're nudging prices up a little bit on studs and, we have order files in April, but it's hard to nudge prices very much on like just 2x4 and 2x6, 2 and better lumber. We're at, that 575 to 600 Midwest price range on 2x4, and 2x6 is like 625, 635. And it's trading, but I can still buy like cheap 2x4 12s and 14 spruce and hem fir. And they're basically real close to the number 3 price now. Right. So I'm wondering if we had a good futures close. the March contract close. I thought that was positive. And then we closed last week, I think in the low 600s or high 590s in the May, which is also positive. And that those types of technical indicators tell me that 2 and better prices probably should go up from here. And the fact that 12s and 14s are already near the number 3 price also tells me that. And I'm just sort of waiting for it to happen. It's like I've already been busy, and yet there's a bunch of 2 and better lumber laying around that nobody seems to care about, which maybe you're seeing a different story on your quick trucks, but on the rail market, it's like a 6 out of 10 in terms of the sales pace. And then on the stuff I'm doing is like a 10 out of 10.
I'm going to give some advice, to you, Matt, and, any of our listeners that get on that. Buy. You asked, are we busy? We're as busy
especially
as we
12s and 14s.
12s and 14s. Ash said, like he got a little frustrated on I got hammered yesterday on 2x4 14s, which were, they weren't really moving and they're super undervalued. And so I actually came in this morning and was buying those when Ashley sent over that he had just sold a whole bunch at our new pricing. For the other thing, Matt, is we came into the week quoting the week of 4.6 on truckloads. That's lumber we have on the ground. We have our largest backlog of orders to ship that I can remember having. I'm quoting, and orders are now coming in for the week of May 13th, which is, April 13th, which is what we're quoting now on most trucks is, April 13th or sooner.
Which Greg, I think it's also people are using that as they're building an inventory off that too. That's actually starting to work for them now.
Right. They're building,
using like a sawmill.
They're staying in order flow, right? If you're a just in time, big buyer, you need to keep buying so you have wood coming in every week, and if you have to be buying 4 or 5 weeks out, stacking it, right?
Mm-hmm.
To stay in the order file.
What about Charles?
New mill shipments on cars, there's the April 30th. Now mills are quoting the first, March 30th, and mills are quoting the first week in April. That's lumber. It's not going to be until the end of April, right?
If you're lucky.
By car.
Yeah.
If you're lucky.
What about Charles' business? I'm kind of curious what the Yellow Pine's doing.
Because I see, Charles, I saw East Side is now a premium to Western Mill, and it's starting to move toward its old historical, like it's moving, right?
Yeah, it's definitely not sitting still. The premiums on print are astronomical, somewhat unsustainable in my little perspective, my little pea brain. The big red flag for me, or the big cause for caution in this whole thing is how much has spruce in the cash market gone up since November?
Depends on the item.
100.
Just 2x4 16s.
Oh, 80.
Over 100. 125 to 150 current.
Low trade
we're currently selling 715 to 725 delivered, and that stuff was trading sub 600.
So $115, $120, something like that.
125.
All right, 125. So if you look at the low 2x4 16 and just take a cash price, sub $400 at, call it 375 before this whole thing started in November, and now it's going into a 5-month kind of bull run, right? Is really where we're at.
And what are 16s in pine? It's pines. So you're saying they were sub 400 and now they're
560, 570 in the central.
How much does it cost to take it to, if you're talking central,
you're up $200 a thousand.
If you're 560,
Yeah.
570 central, what's that delivered to a market that it should go to? So pick a market that
let's just say all right, here's a discussion I had earlier. Well, here's a discussion I had earlier today. If you were to deliver 2x4 16 2 and better spruce to Indianapolis, what would it cost? Delivered right now.
720.
We're probably quoting 705, 715 right now, Ash.
Are you talking spruce or pine here? Charles?
Spruce.
So we're 705 right now on spruce.
Pine would
705.
deliver into Indy around 640 to 650, depending on where it's coming from. So, I mean, there's still a discrepancy between the two. But if you look at how pine has carried spruce or moved first over the past 2 years, the spread and the velocity at which it changed usually is like in kind. And I feel like spruce went first, then pine just never stopped. There was a 2-week pause. People thought that was the end, and now we're $40 up on print and $60 premiums. Sustainability, long-term order files. If you're selling in April,
So Charles, one thing I've noticed here in the last couple of weeks is that all the yellow pine number 3 guys that had switched over from whitewoods to
they're probably
yellow
knocking
pine
your
the
door
last year and a
down.
half, 2 years. Oh yeah, they're slamming my door down. They're running through the door. They're not even looking for the stop sign. They're like, "Hey, what do you got?" And I wondered if there's much of a spread between number 3 yellow pine and number 2 yellow pine, because it doesn't appear like there is based on their behavior.
Are they roll stopping the stop sign and then stopping, doing the Seinfeld?
No,
stop
dude,
and-
they're just
stop
hit
and
the
short?
accelerator.
they don't even. Yeah, they probably don't even see the stop sign. I mean, I've heard stories of mills selling
Anyhow.
number 3 for over $500, to be honest. And that's crazy. I'm all about a bull run and I'm all about price continuity, but I think it all depends on order file. And if you have an order file, you have the ability to create that stable footing, i.e. if Gregg, for your example, you're selling trucks and you're getting POs for April, you have no reason to discount your wood because you're sold till April, right? But if you're a mill or you're a producer or you're a secondary or whatever the case may be, and you produce a product or you trade a product and you're not quoting out time in this environment, something's going to change. I just don't know what, and I don't know at what volume. So I just swing the bat, I guess. I don't know.
I mean, and the other thing is that, we're quoting on a delivered basis, our prices are up considerably because, we're having to quote higher freight also. I mean,
100%. I mean, us too. I mean,
depending on where we're going,
our freight to Central
we're
Florida
$10 to $30 a thousand more freight than we were a month ago.
Same.
How much?
$10 to $30 a thousand, depending on where we're going. And in some cases we're no quoting because we have so many trucks backed up. I mean, like you asked me for a truck from the Northeast to Georgia today, and I'm a no quote because we got so many orders to ship.
Well,
And you're just competing with yourself on capacity.
I'll go back to Matt and say, let's talk about Georgia and Florida. We used to ship down to Florida day in and day out at $80 a thousand out of the Northeast and 60 into Georgia. Those rates are insane now. Some of those are like Georgia, Gregg, what, 80, 90 to get down there? 1,000?
I think I just booked a couple of trucks that, divided by $95.
The Georgia, so that's going to change the whole dynamics of people are going to start buying more rail car, especially with truck shipment getting out this far. That didn't normally. So Matt, back to you. Sorry about that. I interrupted you when you had a thought process going there.
Oh, I just was going to say I'm paying about $200 to $300 per truck higher now. So that's $7 to
Oh God, I'd love that.
$7 to $11. Yeah, but you got to remember, Gregg, a lot of my hauls are 100 miles or 50 miles or
Right.
maybe 200 miles. I mean, it's not like I'm going from Boston to Miami. And so, I seem to be able to get the trucks and I have been able to pass on the extra cost to the end users. And I am still getting people running through my stop sign, trying to buy stuff that I quoted on Monday, like you alluded to, Ashley. That stuff's been sold, and I'm not of a mindset to change my posture because it's so hard to buy this stuff right now that, I have to meter out what I have to make it last. And it's not just because I'm being greedy. It's because I've got contract commitments that I have to back up with my inventory in case I can't cover them on rail cars. And I have some contracts that are truck contracts anyhow. So I've got to have a certain amount of inventory staged and ready. And I got to think a month or 2 months out ahead, right? It's like, I can't just do it tomorrow. I've got to plan on this stuff. So I have to be cagey about how I sell it. And with how difficult it is to buy it and how difficult it is to move it around, it just reinforces what I said last week, which is, the incentive for me to sell it and just get rid of it is not there. And I mean, I hope it changes. I hope we go back to a more balanced market at some point. But in the short term, it just tells me to pay really close attention to whatever the mills have in number 2 that they can offer me that's a value, and just buy it, and not even really put much thought into it. Just buy it.
Yeah, I'm seeing. So Matt Lehman was saying he's seeing more panic buying this week. Too much, too late in the preparation season, and yeah, I mean, I think a lot of people kind of made that critical error of saying, hey, the economy doesn't look really good, so that should equate to lower lumber prices. And that never works, right? One, because we don't really know how the economy looks. And 2, because lumber isn't a direct result in the short term of what the economy is doing, right? People see housing numbers or whatever. And I think repair and remodel is doing good. I think this home building is doing good. If you get away from the fear porn articles out there, which I advise everybody does.
Did you say porn?
I did.
Oh, okay.
And I said it.
I just, yeah, I mean, like, what does lumber porn look like anyhow?
You'll know it when you see. You know it when you see it.
Yeah, there are some negative real estate, whatever you call fear, whatever.
Yeah,
there are some markets that are suffering, but Portland's not one of them, which kind of surprises me because Portland's taken it on the chin here as a city in the last 5 to 10 years, and we're not as popular as we used to be when that Saturday Night Live guy was making Portlandia. But the real estate in Portland's interesting because it started off slow. January was slow, and they were talking about it being a down year and maybe not as good as last year. And last year was down. And the numbers of people moving to Portland and the numbers of people moving out of Portland have not been pretty if you read the local news the last 5 years. So then I was talking to a real good friend of mine, a good realtor here in Portland. He said February just blew the wheels off of January. And so now they're above the pace of what they were last year. And all just happened in a short month in February where it rained half the month. And so I don't know what's going on, but I know that development that they're building right behind me where I live, they've slapped up in the last 5 months. I mean, they've slapped up like 40 new homes that are going to sell for a minimum of $750,000. And a couple of mansions that are going in, they're $2 million, McMansions that people already paid for. They're custom builds. So I don't know what the hell's going on. I'm so confused.
Man, you know what?
So, I mean, I think, if you remember over the last, 4 to 5 weeks of the pod, we went from being bullish to being bearish to being bullish to being bearish and, really kind of vacillating. And, the conclusion that I came to was, we were pretty much in equilibrium. I think what the freight issue has highlighted is that maybe we've flipped from equilibrium and that the curtailments in 2024 and 2025 have, overshot where current end use consumption is. And so the real question is, lumber producers are great at killing rallies, right? Where and when is their new production coming on board? So, number one, and we can look at, European lumber and we can say, well, you know what, at $700 FOB port on 2x4 and 2x6 16s, there's probably more lumber that's going to come, right? But it's 6 to 8 weeks away. At the current spruce numbers, Matt, mills are all losing money, right?
Yeah.
Still?
Allegedly. I mean, yeah.
And Gregg, let's just
at these current prices, is U.S. production going to go up?
No. I mean, the U.S. mills are probably not making any money on green lumber right now. I don't think it's profitable. I don't think it's a loser, but I don't think it's profitable. I don't think they're really making very much money on dry dug fir, if at all. the only hope that they have really of the three different species that they run the most of, and I'm talking about the Western U.S. mills, not the inland guys. The inland guys have a different log cost structure. But the dry hem fir is probably profitable right now. So if you're producing dry hem fir studs and dry hem fir dimension, there's a small margin in it, but not enough to go add a bunch of shifts and hire a bunch more workers and then buy more logs and jump the price of hem fir logs up. So,
and what you were alluding to last week is that everybody was running Doug fir. They weren't running hem fir right now.
Right. And that'll switch though, Greg, as we get into warmer season here. I think one of the reasons why the mills run heavier Doug fir in the winter is because Doug fir dries well. It's a really easy species to run through the kiln. It dries uniformly. And hem fir and pine in the West don't dry as easily. And so during the colder winter months, they tend to just run more Doug fir. It just runs the mill more efficiently. It's just easier to saw, honestly. But
every time you say kiln, Matt, I think of Animal House. When the guy went to that sorority and he was looking for Fawn Leibowitz, and the person said that she died in a pottery kiln fire.
The kiln accident,
yeah. So, Charles,
I don't think Charles saw that movie. He was too young.
But we were in October, November, and we were looking at pine prices, 2x6s, sub $300 mill, and you did like a great job of saying, hey, what is, log costs and et cetera, et cetera. And I mean, I think at that point in time, we told guys they should load up every warehouse they could with 2x6s. And
that's why Charles
that was one of the best trades we never did.
That's why Charles got into cattle trading. He loaded like 20 warehouses up with it.
Right, and just like put his feet up like Boss Hog, right?
Yeah.
But at today's prices, are pine mills making money, Charles?
Yeah. I mean, if you're selling number 3 at $400,
to talk.
Yeah, I mean, if you're selling number 3 at $400 plus, no matter what the width is, I mean, you're making plenty of money. But I don't know.
So do you anticipate pine producers increasing production over the next 60 to 90 days?
I don't think so. I think they're going to play it a little bit better than that. I think if they do anything, they'll extend order files, which I would do if I was a primary producer, right? I wouldn't quote a 5 to 7 day window. I'd quote a damn 25-day window and say, if you want to buy it, here's your price.
Yeah.
Kind of like spruce, right? But some of these,
that's how they get control of the market.
110%. Because I mean, otherwise, if I have a conversation with anybody, and if somebody has a conversation with me and they say, well, how quick can you get it? And I say, oh, well, I just got it laying around, or, oh, it's this extremely high price, but I don't know, I can't quote it past, next Wednesday. What's their confidence in that price, stabilization there? They're not. I mean, there's potential downside because you don't know what's on the backside of that transaction. But I will say that with primaries pushing these premiums the way they are, and us having to look at it, and Greg, you've always said this, you got to sell above replacement cost. And, these premiums pushing and escalating as quickly as they have. I mean, people are stepping up to the plate and paying them. For probably about 4 or 5 days between last week and the first couple of days this week, it was very questionable as far as who was going to pay it. But now people are seeing that, it's kind of a necessary evil. But I don't know, man. I'm just here to play the game. I don't really have a direct feel for it. I just know that what I sell, anything.
I mean, if I asked you to quote a job
if I
for
can't
me for, if I said, hey, Charles, I was just going to say, if I had a job, I wanted you to quote me in yellow pine, 2 and better, 2x4 and 2x6 delivered to, Springfield, Missouri or something like that for starting late May. Would you just take today's prices and use that? Or would you have to go an extra 50 or 100? I mean, what do you feel is appropriate risk right now in yellow pine?
Put a premium on it. Yeah, I mean, you'd have to go today's number at a $60 premium over print cash and probably another 40 to 52 bucks. And I mean, that's very situational too. I mean, we put together a lot of custom programs to where we mitigate the premium forward for our client base. Oh, I mean, it's 2x6 18. Right, I get offers.
It's not like you're just willing to sell into this price.
Where at, Charles? Where you can get offers?
2x6 18s are a solid $60 to $70 over, and I buy a rat shit ton of them. right? I buy a ton of 6-inch raw material, a ton of 4-inch and 8-inch raw material. But, you know, in the short term, there's fear. Long term, there's risk of, okay, there's a blow off, and then we have higher lows. And if spruce does tighten and it does escalate to mid sevens to $800, to your point, Matt, pine's gonna follow $100 gap down, right? Or gap trading value gap, right? So, I mean, prime example, that Indy number, 640 to 650. If 2 before 16 spruce is at 710, I mean, there's $60.
Yeah. But I mean, having said all this, like I said at the beginning, we're not super busy, and none of the mills that I talk to out west here are super busy on just regular old gut ball 2 before 2 to 6 random. I mean, it's just trading. It's a trading market. It's not.
Well, there's
no excitement
thing,
to it,
right? I mean,
that's a positive.
That's part of my conundrum.
That's a positive.
I don't know if it's a positive. I mean, if you're not able to move, stock links and keep liquidity.
The lumber market can be unpredictable, but with the right tools, you can make confident decisions. Fastmarkets is the trusted home of the Random Lengths Weekly Report, providing detailed pricing for over 1,600 products, including softwood lumber, structural panels, and more across North America. As for hardwood markets, the Hardwood Market Report is your go-to source for pricing benchmarks, market commentary, and in-depth monthly insights through HMR Executive. These resources give you clarity in a complex market, helping you stay informed and prepared. Fastmarkets Random Lengths price assessments are derived from verified price inputs collected via online submission forms, authenticated physical documentation, and interactions with buyers and sellers across the supply chain. All data is evaluated within Fastmarkets' proprietary assessment platform, Mind, in strict accordance with our published methodologies. Each assessment undergoes a rigorous approval process prior to publication. Key benchmark commodities are subject to independent third-party audits to ensure alignment with Fastmarkets methodologies and compliance with IOSCO principles for price reporting agencies. Get started with Fastmarkets today. Visit fastmarkets.com/lumbertalk to find out more.
No, the thing is we can, and we do have order files. So our mills, if you just peruse the room, and I think this is true really all the mills in the West right now, whether the Canadian or US mills, all of the mills that I deal with in the Western half of this continent have order files to at least 330, in a lot of cases week of 4/6, and some of the stuff's being quoted week of 4/13. And so there's order files, right? When I say that there's no excitement, I just mean like, you can't really raise the prices. It's like, it's just boring trading, like flat market, stable with a slight upward lean to it.
Matt, like when you have a 3 and 4 week shipping file, that's when you have two choices. You either jam the price higher and turn it off, or you don't move the price very much higher and you keep that shipping file.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's what's happening. And it's really boring.
And you keep control of the market. Right. The market's not going to fall when a mill has a 3 or 4 week shipping file, is it?
No. And I don't think anyone expects it to. It's just the level of excitement that I'm experiencing at my desk, or Charles is at his desk, or you are. So the four of us are a little bit biased in how we're seeing things, is kind of the point I'm trying to get to, because what we're doing is really good and really busy and really difficult. But that's not the case for everybody. There's a lot of people that are listening to this podcast kind of like going, what the hell are they talking about? Because they're not experiencing that level of excitement or activity. The fact that we are doing a lot of trucks and people use us as an inventory hedge, and this is kind of prime time of the year for that service, makes us a little bit biased to the upside, is what I'm saying. Now, if Kip was here like he was 3 weeks ago, and he's saying that production's down 25-30% in Canada, and I believe him, I have no reason not to believe him. If that's the case, then something's got to give, right? We're going through the busiest time of the year, the next 90 days, and you can't have spruce sitting there flat as a pancake at 565 to 585 Chicago forever. That can't stay that way, because number 3 will just run by it. Is what's going to happen. I mean, if
See,
I was,
and
Matt,
a
you
peanut
always
butter
tell me
guy, I'd be buying the crap out of it.
That's
when
why
2 and 3, Matt, you always tell me when 2 and 3 are the same price, that means 2 is going to go up.
Yeah, well, it should, but it hasn't, and that's the thing that blows me away.
that's where my call for caution is.
Hey,
And maybe
guys,
I didn't express it the correct way, but that's it, right? I mean, you've got compression in grades and pricing structures. You've got compression in specie pricing. You've got spruce production is down 25%. And to your point, it's it's moved and it's reacted, but it hasn't done what anybody thought it was going to do. Honestly.
Yeah. These markets are never quite the same. They might remind you of a previous market, but the way they actually go is always a mystery. And, if I'm a betting man, I think prices are generally significantly higher in 30 days on just about everything. And I'm not talking 10 or 15 bucks. I'm talking $30 to $100 on everything. And I feel like we're getting off to a slow start because the weather was a problem this year for more than half the country. And maybe some of these things got pushed back a little bit, but as the weather improves in other states not named Texas, I feel like there's going to be some people that are wondering where they're going to find their next truck or car of material because it's going to be hard to buy.
Hey Ash, can I get in the weeds?
Yeah.
Can I get in the weeds a little bit for some folks? When Matt, when you say that people listening to the podcast won't know what I'm talking about, this may be that time. But Kip, who is a great guest and we love having him on, he sent us out a little thing the other day, which was piqued my interest. And it had to do with the makeup of the futures market. Huh? What's that?
You saw it too? You saw it too?
That makeup of the futures market, currently industry is basically, long 65-70% of the contracts, and funds are short 65 to 70% of the contracts. And it's been that way for the last year-ish plus. And the funds have made money nonstop, and the industry is, it lost money and rolled and lost more money.
But the industry is smart money, technically.
I love this business.
Just
that.
It's because you and Gregg are participants, Ash.
But as Kip correctly pointed out, over the last, I think it was 4 years, every time the funds have moved from a big short position to a big long position, the market's rallied between $125 and $200 a thousand. What if, right? That's how we get, Matt. That's how we get to your 800 high of the year. How many people in the industry think 2x4s spruce can go to $800 delivered?
Nobody.
How many people?
Not even me.
How many people here think that could happen?
I mean, I did, but now I'm questioning my own sanity. And I said last week I was going to drop my prediction down to like low 700s, not 800. Chicago. I'm talking Chicago prices, just because of all the stuff that I've been talking about. So I hope you're right. It would be nice. The funds have made a lot of money being short, and so did you and anyone else that hedged their inventory last year. Now, granted, we had to give some of that back on our cash sales, but being short the board from April of last year till, November, December paid.
Yeah. I mean,
but to your point, Matt, I'm pretty sure you're right. I mean, if somebody thought the board was going to 800, we'd be at 700 right now.
Yeah. And I'm just, I don't want to go ahead. Keep going.
I did notice, Gregg, you were talking about euro.
What?
And I noticed that all of a sudden, mysteriously, all of the euro guys at the same time raised their prices, like in the Cape on 2x4 16s to 700, like yesterday. And I think we're going to see a lot less coming over, because you mentioned people want 700 for their 16s coming over here for April. Unfortunately, they also want it for the 10s, 12s, and 14s, right? And same with 2x6. So I wonder how much are we going to see the same amount of euro coming over, or what are we going to see?
I mean, it looks like we're seeing less now. And, I anticipate we'll see less, if decisions are made today to bring more over, you're not going to see that until June, July, right? I mean, so the next chance to have a big increase in Euro lumber at ports is going to be June, July. Other than that, it's going to be the run rate that it has been at, which is down somewhere between 30 and 40% from a year ago.
Gotcha. I mean, so like Matt, you like bringing this up all the time. What inning if this is a ball game, what inning are we in right now in this move?
First, maybe second. I mean, we just are now starting. It's like I said, it's been a delayed start, and we haven't even really seen the dry whitewood species. So that'd be your hem fir and your spruce make significant gains on futures prices or mill quoting prices. The only thing that changed here in the last 5 trading days was when one of the big majors pulled their EFP list right before the close of the futures contract last week. So why did they do that? I don't know. I didn't ask. Didn't care.
They didn't have any more shorts.
Yeah, I don't know.
They didn't have it. They didn't have any more shorts. That's what happened.
Did they not have the lumber?
No, they had the lumber. I mean, listen, they had the lumber because they're still manufacturing. They were still shipping January deliveries to us 2 weeks ago.
Oh, okay.
Right? I mean, they finished doing January deliveries at the end of February.
Huh.
But yeah, no, they didn't have any more shorts on, Matt.
So,
I mean, I get the feeling that some of the majors aren't completely able to cover all their contract and VMI commitments, because I've seen a slight increase on some of that buying, or at least the inquiry of particular locations that I don't always get very much volume to. I mean, I get a car here and a car there, but all of a sudden I'm getting 3 cars to those locations, or 2 cars.
Hey, Greg, Dave was saying on the comment, he said there's currently 5,000 trucks in the Cape. That's about average, right? Because we had 10 to 15 at one point.
5,000 trucks?
Yeah.
Divided by no. When the Cape was fully loaded, they had close to 30,000 trucks, and they were shipping 200 trucks a day. They had like 90 days worth of shipments at the high. They're probably shipping 125 trucks a day right now. So, I mean, what's that, 40 days?
My question on that 5,000 trucks is how much has been sitting on the ground since last June?
Oh, God.
Right? Some of it, right?
That blows me away that people will do that. I mean, you got to deal with your
That's good
shrapnel.
information from Dave on that one. But that's one thing, we keep an eye on is how much is in there. And isn't it funny how a number looks like a lot, how much our industry can eat up and stuff. And the thing with trucks now from the port, especially down in the Cape, is you can't get it as far.
Are you guys having trouble not only like with what you're paying for trucks, but just the availability, the volume availability?
Absolutely.
Yeah. How about you, Charles? Are you having that problem?
Yeah, and it goes back to Greg's point of not selling too much in one like localized area, because then you're just competing with yourself on capacity.
Well, I guess I should be happy that I'm still able to get the trucks I need. I just got to pay more for them.
Well, Matt, you're probably also getting the same truckers that you've been using all the time. And like, we have people that'll do the route from the Northeast down to Charlotte every week at a good price, and they'll do 5 loads or 7 loads.
Yeah.
But we have 25 to do.
Oh.
Right. And there's a big difference between what they've been charging us and what somebody else when you have to do something will charge you for it. Right.
Yeah.
Sometimes twice as much.
Yeah. Open market.
Are you
freight
guys
rates are rough.
still get? What happens when a guy calls in and says, "Hey, can you quote this?" And then you do, and he's, "Can you get it to me tomorrow?" How many of those phone calls have you gotten?
I give him the address of the reload and say, you can pick it up tomorrow. I can't do your freight for you.
Yeah. I've had a lot of those recently too. I'll make a phone call and see if we can snag a trucker, but the price just goes double.
Yeah.
I mean, not on my price, but the trucking price. So if it's a $500 haul, it's going to be $1,000 haul. to guarantee overnight.
Matt, quick question for you, Charles, Greg. Have you noticed what group came in first and started buying inventory? I could tell the ones that I deal with, it was the independent and they're large companies, but they're not privately held or anything like that. They're people that can turn on stuff pretty fast. And even today, like people that were buying the undervalued 2x4 12s and 14s were people that can turn pretty fast and don't have to wait for a corporate board meeting to buy. So to speak, or to get the okay to build the inventory an extra week or two. And I mean, that's why I still think there's enough area beneath that gas pedal in the floorboard that people can still push down a little bit going forward here.
I mean, if you know, like the fundamental question is, you know, you have supply and you have demand. You know, the market's always trying to seek equilibrium. And you know, if we're producing one more stick than the demand, prices are going to fall over time. They'll fall more rapidly during periods of seasonal weakness, right? But, you know, like the basic question is right now is end use consumption greater than the current production levels? And if it is, then we're going to continue to like grind substantially higher. And, you know, I mean, I don't know that we'll get to your 800 on spruce, but I mean, there's another $100 up. I mean, I'll tell you, based on the futures, you know, we're close to breaking out and scampering $50. And if all of a sudden you're going to be, you know, spruce is going to be 670 to 680 Chicago on random 2x4. That's a completely, I mean, that's a game changer right now, isn't it?
Yeah. Yes, it is.
So
here it comes. It's going to be interesting, isn't it?
Never a dull moment. And can you imagine what things would be like if we didn't have $110 oil and bombs flying? Holy smokes, huh?
I mean, you got to think that housing, like Ashley said, is sort of its own little world. It's not necessarily
for sure
tied to those things, but you know, we're more sensitive to interest rates. We're more sensitive to money. You know, how loose is the money supply? How tight are the banks? So those types of things affect housing more. There was a piece of legislation that they're talking. I don't know if they're going to pass it or not.
Let's hope they don't. It's garbage. Absolutely.
Yeah, I don't know either.
Terrible
but
piece of legislation, Matt.
I would like to see some legislation that limits the amount that municipalities and states and counties can receive as a percentage of the total project cost, right? If you look at how much of the money goes to permits and taxes on building new homes or a new apartment, it's, you know, maybe it should be capped at 2 or 3% or something of the total fund allocation, but I think it's more like 10 or 15%, maybe 20% in some instances. When I did my addition on my house, it was over 10% for the city of Portland. And yeah, all of that, those types of things
stuff is local in nature, right? I mean,
yeah. Can they change it and make a federal? No, they cannot.
No. And honestly, we don't. The last thing we need is putting, you know, Elizabeth Warren in charge of like housing. I mean,
what, you don't trust her?
It's like, hey, if the answer was like big government control of everything, then the Soviet Union and Venezuela would be ruling the world. I do want to give a big shout out to the Venezuelan baseball team for their victory yesterday in the World Series. I mean, God, I mean, I could just see Maduro like watching the game cheering.
Oh yeah.
Where do you come up with
I'd
this
have paid
stuff?
to be in that cell.
And hey,
I had no idea that was even going
out their basket. Have everybody filled out their March Madness brackets? Who do you like? I want to hear. Come on, let's go. I mean,
I don't watch basketball.
I did one.
I heard
myself.
I heard Notre Dame made an announcement that they decided they don't want to go to the tournament this year.
Yeah, I chose Arizona
What?
in the one bracket that I did, and then I sent a copy of.
Yeah.
Well, Arizona's pretty good. Apparently they got 4 guys that are going pro, but I sent one to my son Drew, who's in college, and he'll be a better and I'm hoping to see what he's gonna make his picks and send them back to me, and I'll submit those.
So I
doubt-
always do one bracket with KU winning because that's where I sent a lot of money. I do the committee rewarded Miami of Ohio for having an undefeated regular season with matching them up against the against a tough play-in. If they can beat Tennessee, I think they have to play Arkansas. So but
they didn't even make the field of 64.
No, they play in tonight.
Oh man, that's terrible.
Oh, it's a play-in. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think the undertone of this whole conversation is nobody really knows what the hell's going on. We're just participating in a market. Honestly, I mean,
we have a
look,
disclaimer.
Well,
we have a disclaimer that states that on the podcast.
I think
I
we know
just feel
what's
like I'm
going
not
on
like
in our
bringing
little
any
micro
value
world.
because I don't know. I mean, sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. I don't really have a method right now. Like I'm not like, okay, this
So
is how I'm gonna
let
methodically
me ask you this: if you
I think Charles is freeballing it.
if you're a multifamily buyer, that
I mean, I'm hedged and I'm
haven't locked in
protected.
a
Don't get me
job for
wrong,
the-
but
no, if you're a multifamily buyer that hasn't locked in business for the second and third quarter, well, there's no way the second quarter you've definitely locked it in. It's the third and the fourth quarter. What do you do today? Do you cover it at what somebody gives you the premium today at, or do you hold it if you're locked in with your sell price and figure you're going to get a better chance to buy it in June or July for August, September start, right?
Well, since a lot of those guys sell at like $1,000 a thousand to their end use contractors, I think they're probably okay covering 50% of it and holding the other 50%, like we say. But I think one thing like we forget about, some of this multifamily gets sold at pretty damn high prices when you look at you go downstream to some of the people we're talking about, right?
Yeah. I mean, if I was looking at work in the second and third quarter, I'd just cover it. I mean, like right now, you can still go out and make some.
I would cover 40% of it. Third quarter, I'd probably cover 25. I whatever the front load is, 25 to 33%. Usually, and obviously Pine is kind of leading the way as far as products and multifamily. Usually, historically, July is a pullback in Pine. What does that level look like? We don't know, but we know it's probably not going to be $280 a thousand like it has been the past couple of years. And if you got an August, September start, you're right on the cusp of another quasi appreciation period, right? In a seasonal pull and appreciation. So if you cover 30% of it, you have the ability to kind of trade the back half or set some sort of specific distribution deal on it. I mean, there's a lot of ways to skin a cat, but I think if you don't have 30 to 40% of Q2 covered by now, it's gonna be rough.
If you're a pro yard and you've been keeping your inventory at 30 to 45 days, actually trying to squeeze it down for at periods over the last 12 to 18 months, which has been a great strategy. What do you do now? Do you stay with that strategy?
Don't change anything.
Or do you go, whoa, you know what? Maybe we need to now be looking at 60 to 75 days and increase.
You go into the strategy. You go into the
okay.
You call the person that they hired that's got the 5 black belts in
Six
distribution ninja quality from 7 universities, who tells you how you should buy in theory, not in reality. And you tell them, hey, ninja, the trucking is a lot more money and I can't get it as fast. And the ninja says to you, don't worry about it, son, because my textbook says if you keep doing it like this, you'll be fine. All of a sudden you wake up 30 days from now and realize that you're almost not doing the job you're supposed to as a buyer and you're running out of lumber.
Yeah.
And I think some people are there's some people we know in the industry for a long time that are buyers and they just go in and start buying, right? And some of those people that I call the smart buyers have started doing it in the last few weeks, and they're going around their ninja, so to speak, and they're buying, and they're going to be the ones that don't run out and are going to be okay. But I think that's why, as Matt Lehman pointed to, you're seeing some panic buying, And as Gregg said, what do? I think some people are trying to get just their days of inventory back to what they were based on the new trucking freight and the extended ship times.
The challenge,
I feel like we're all dumber for hearing that.
No, the challenge,
No,
that the industry has is that what ends up happening is when the prices move up like this, their outtake actually goes up. And so, the other thing is the formulas are saying that business is better because the retail prices don't stay in pace with the market prices. In some cases, there's retail prices out in the field that are lower than today's replacement cost.
Are you still relying on snail mail publications from the 70s to reach the forest products industry? It's time to upgrade. Advertise in the Lumber Word podcast and get in front of the lumber world every single week. Our episodes are tuned in by the largest segment of influencers inside and adjacent to the forest product sector. Decision makers who shape the industry. Ditch those tens of thousands spent on outdated print ads and project your product or service across the podcast universe instead. Ready to make the switch? Head to thelumberchannel.com, click on Connect, and drop us a line with your info. Let's amplify your message today.
Interesting.
Yeah, and another thing, Gregg, that happens here this time of year is some framer company or developer comes in and all of a sudden puts in an order to the sales team, unbeknownst to the buying group, and the guy takes, 37 trucks of all the prime links. And so all of a sudden, the next day, this guy gets his report on his desk as a purchasing agent and says, "Oh my God, you're down to 12 days of inventory on these links." And so the alarm bells go off, and I get emails. "Hey, I need to fill in some trucks here." And I'm not the only one who gets those emails. You guys get them too. But that kind of stuff is happening also. And it'll continue to happen through the next, probably until Memorial Day.
That's a good point, Matt. And if you are a framer that listens to this, that buy from people and somebody has given you a price that's a pretty good value relative to, if you want to look at print or whatever you look at, and they're holding the price for you to make a decision. I mean, this is just my own opinion. Go freaking step on the gas and lock it down with them. Make them, if they're giving you a price that's too good to be true, take it. Yeah. Transfer your risk.
Yep.
And
this isn't the time to screw around, right? I mean, if we're having this conversation in August, maybe have a different attitude. But, this is the heart of the building season, and we're off to a slower start than normal year because the weather's been tough. Well, here we go, guys. Hold on. It's going to get interesting here for the next little while. What if the mills all of a sudden sell 3-4 week order files and raise their prices 30, 40, $50? And now what do you do? And then you can't get quick trucks because Ashley can't book them. Or I can't book them.
In the world that I live in Eastern Spruce and some other markets, I haven't seen too many big mill lists that have multiple items on them anymore.
Yeah, they did their job 3 weeks ago. They dumped a bunch of cheap lumber in February, and now they're just riding the tide back up again.
Yeah, right? They did a good job. Yeah. They did a good job.
All right, boys. It's been an hour. I think it's time to.
Holy shit! Yes, it has been.
Charles, come on. You're smarter for having spent this time with us today, aren't you?
I'm always smarter anytime I get to spend time with you. Especially.
Hey, Charles, can I ask you a 3-word question, Charles?
Sure.
Are you short?
Am I short? I'm shorter than you.
Yeah, you were short, like short lumber. Because it felt like you were saying the way you were angry at the market. It felt like you were short.
No, I'm not angry at the market. I mean, if I can.
Who are you angry at? Who are you angry at?
Are you okay?
I mean, if I get barely over replacement cost and everybody's balking at it, what does that tell you? And maybe I don't know what the hell I'm doing.
Yeah, you need to
the market moving up.
Yeah, no, that makes
No, I don't think that is possible. So
what?
I think you know what you're doing. So, I mean, how many guys do you know that are trading cattle and lumber at the same time? I know one. So, yeah, you don't do that without doing some homework. Yeah.
I'm not. I mean, yeah. Do
This
I
is a
open Ash? Do I opine? Yeah. Do I have a shit ton of inventory? Yes. Do I have a position on the board? Always. But that doesn't mean that I just like, if I can't sell over replacement costs, if I literally cannot sell over replacement costs and make any money, I'm not going to transact business. So if I'm not going to transact business, this other guy is going to go and try to get somebody, talk them down, which is not really what I wanted to say. So I'm trying to be politically correct here. And he ends up taking a bad order. He ends up taking a bad order, and then he gets caught sideways, and then he's got to push it out another 2 weeks, and then the guy comes back to me, and then I got to get my replacement cost. But no wood has moved for 2 weeks. In that specific scenario, no wood has moved for 2 weeks.
Yeah,
so
but we know that that's not what happens. We know that won't happen.
What?
The wood moves.
No, the wood moves.
One of the
Somebody
biggest
takes the order.
challenges in a market like this is knowing what replacement cost is, because you get the delta
100%.
between, right? The delta gets hard to go like, well, and then all of a sudden somebody comes up with some, like you think that you know what the market is, and then somebody's got something $20 or $30 a thousand cheaper, and then you're really freaked out because you're like going, is the market going down, or do I not know what's going on? And you either freezes you up, or you go F it and you just buy it.
Well, I mean, I don't know. Understanding complete total cost and replacement cost is a tough one in Pine right now for a lot of reasons. I think prices continue to go up, but I just don't know what the other side looks like. I'm not trying to talk a market down.
Are you a
I'm
little
not trying to do
skeptical?
any of that, but I'm just participating. And if I can't make any money and transact business, I'm not going to do it for practice. Because I mean, I owed a shit ton of wood through this whole thing, and I got my shit kicked in, and we won some and we lost some. But I can tell you right now, I don't need any more damn practice.
Do you feel better?
Sometimes,
do you feel better? Do you feel better getting more than 4 sentences in now?
Yeah, you're over your allotment this week.
Heard.
You're over your allotment this week.
Next week, I'll just put it on mute and nod my head.
You realize that sometimes the best orders are the ones you don't take.
100%. I just sold wood, and I feel like
Ashley,
I
you
sold
look
too damn
confused
cheap.
when I said that.
Like I'm questioning myself.
No, I did. Sometimes the two best things you can say is say no to an order or to fire a customer.
I don't like firing customers, but then I'm real selective with who I deal with. So to me, that's.
You can get them. You can go back to them the next day, but you want to fire them just overnight.
Oh, a temporary.
Yeah.
That's
what they call that in
you
college.
put them in the penalty box, right? Put them in the penalty box.
That's when you open the black book.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, guys.
All right, so hold on. I
will-
do have one question though. That little infographic that Kip has talked to everybody about, because I've heard it from 5 different people, at least in the past 24 hours.
Oh, I thought I was really special and that I got it. Oh, okay. No. Oh, okay. I mean,
You might have got it first because you're better looking, but what I mean,
Anyhow, finish your thought.
what do you extract from that data? What is the probability of that repeating itself? Let me ask a better question. In your opinion, in your humble, tenured opinion.
So, I mean, it's kind of, in one sense, it's meaningless. So it's a 0 because it's an if. If they switch from being short to long, this is what has happened. But I mean, there's nothing to say that they're going to do that. I mean, I agree. The long camp has been, really harping on this for 12 months, and it hasn't happened. At some point it will happen. They will, they're not going to be short. They're not going to be say short forever. At some point they will be long. And if they do that, we'll be $100 a thousand higher.
Yeah.
But I mean, the technical right now is the weekly chart is above its most recent downtrend. So, I mean, like I said, a close over 620, and you're probably a scamper up to, that 670, the $700 high. And, I mean, that's probably what it is.
I was chatting with Kip last week. He did say something that it made a lot of sense. Last year, I think May went to 670, and we were a lot more bearish last May than we are now. Does that make sense?
I don't know, how do you measure we were more bearish?
A lot of that was because of tariff talk, Ash. Remember when we kept poo-pooing the whole tariff talk, and we're like, we sold into this is another reason why the hedgers made money last year, is because we kept selling the rumor and then buying the fact, and the industry was buying the rumor and selling the fact, and it's like, yeah,
that's
you're doing
true,
it wrong.
But back then we only had one item really moving up, and that was spruce, and now we have every single species moving higher.
That just shows you production has been adjusted, right?
It does.
And,
yeah.
I mean, and last
species
year we
swapping is real.
We were rolling at $35 to $50 a thousand instead of like 15 or 20. So
boy, I wouldn't want to be one of those. If I was listening to this, I probably wouldn't want to be one of those funds short right now. Oof.
I think we should scare the crap out of them.
You could be offside your whole yearly bonus in like 2 weeks.
Oh man.
They might have to write a check on their personal account to cover the VIG.
Boom.
All right, boys.
All
That's
right,
great. Let's end on that note.
Love you.
See you. Bye.
See ya.
Thanks for listening to this week's episode of The Lumber Word. The Lumber Word podcast is dedicated to engaging conversations about the lumber industry, including trading ideas, market trends, and evaluations of overvalued and undervalued assets. We wish to emphasize that the discussions and opinions expressed in this podcast are purely for informational and entertainment purposes. They should not be considered as financial or investment advice. We encourage our listeners to make their own financial decisions, taking into account their unique circumstances and financial goals, and to seek professional financial advice if necessary.